Welcome to Truth by Billie Beene, May 6, 2026, time in Texas, about 8 p.m. And thanks for like, subscribe, and share. And thank you, Patricia S., for extra support for my channel. Some of the things we'll cover. The U.S. military is currently up in the air defending a U.S. base in Iraq against Iran. And we have hantavirus possibly spreading to different parts of the world, including the U.S. U.S. gasoline supplies, 100 days. And FBI have just raided a Virginia Dems office and cannabis business. So let's get started. So we have this from MedCram on YouTube. Now, this guy's YouTube channel appears to be putting out some good information. His background is ER, ICU, stabilizing people who are in, extreme conditions. And he gives out this information regarding hantavirus and increasing the immune system interferon's reaction to a virus. And his advice is, and I'm familiar with this medical advice from decades ago, is that as the psalmist David puts out in the Bible, we are wondrously made. Our immune system can turn on a special immune particle, interferon, to fight against viruses, and to maximize its turn on when we're feeling sick is to increase our body's temperature, a hot bath or shower, something like that. Now, his advice, and I've heard this from other medical sources, is to not be so quick to try and bring down a low fever, 100 or 101, to let your body generate that heat, which turns on your immune system to high. Now, a higher fever than that, I've worked in emergency rooms where, like children, running higher temperatures than 101, we would put into ice to bring that temperature down. But for decades, and many medical sources say, sometimes it's good to let that fever go and then maybe take an aspirin later. So that's going on. And we have this from New York Prepper. The U.S. military is currently up in the air with the refuelers and U.S. jets over Iraq, defending a U.S. military base against Iran, who are launching drones with explosives on them to hit the U.S. base. Wouldn't we consider that breaking the ceasefire? We'll see. It appears that President Trump is now putting out different bits of information indicating that possibly he's going to hold off on a major U.S. military barrage on Iran until after his trip to China, which is May 14 and 15. Maybe he wants to talk to Xi up close and personal, as it appears that Xi is calling the shots for his proxy Iran. So that's going on. And we have this. Yeah, there's no deal yet between the U.S. and Iran. And we have this. We have also that a U.S. sub-hunter plane is over Cuba today, and that over the U.S. today we have a command and control plane up over the Gulf of America. We have C-17s going from Ramstein base in Germany to the UAE, and C-5 Galaxies, the largest cargo plane, are going to different locations inside the Middle East. We have up over Erbil, Iraq, U.S. fighter jets and U.S. refuelers, defending a U.S. base from an attack by Iran. We also are hearing that Israel and Hezbollah in Lebanon are also exchanging hits. I have this from a Patriot subscriber talking about pole shift. Does that mean the Earth will flip? I hope not. So I'll do a little drawing for you to explain the difference between geographic and magnetic. So we have on the Earth, we have land, and we have on maps, north and south. We also have a different type measurement called the magnetic north and south, which is what we see on compasses. So we have the magnetic north also moving. We have the magnetic south also moving. So the Earth is not going to flip in a pole shift. What this means is the magnetic north and south that we would see on our compass will flip. The dynamo inside the Earth will stop, I believe, for about 30 minutes and then regenerate the magnetic points. And we'll actually still have the north geographic point on our maps, but we will have the south. So we have north geographic, and we will have then the south magnetic that we'll see on our compasses. So this is what that means, pole shift. So that's going on. And we have this. Dr. William Mount, that the New World Order is losing control. And 5 cities, Dr. Mount believes, are primary seats for Satan, include Tokyo, Darjeeling in India, London, Geneva in Switzerland, and New York City. And we have this. And what's going on with that costume event we're seeing take place on our news channels with the elite? My take is they are showing their costumes prior to engaging in some type of ceremony. Nicole Kidman is there and other actors and actresses and so on. The Rock dressing up like a woman. It's weird. We have this from U.S. Intel. So I put out the information that had come out from JP Morgan Chase and Goldman Sachs that the world has 100 days of crude oil supply left. Now, more information is coming out about refined oil products, such as gasoline, diesel, jet fuel, of which we have a 50-day supply. And this is according to the banks. So that's going on. And we have this from China Observer. in China, they're having some kind of strange outbreak of a flu-like disease that people are calling thunderstorm flu, because people are getting sick with this flu-like respiratory disease if they're caught out in the rain. And they're calling it, also noting that right after a rain, they see corrosion on concrete structures and also on asphalt streets. And also are seeing lichen-like, so a lichen is a cross between a fungus and another type plant, lichen. They're seeing lichen on the ground. And even the government is putting out warnings to Chinese people, don't get caught out in the rain. And the Chinese people also report seeing drones in the night sky spraying something down, which many of us in America would call chemtrails. So that's going on. Is China testing a new dispersion process for disease? I put that forth. We have from New York Post that on the HANTAVIRUS, the cruise ship where people are dying and getting sick with hantavirus, that the cruise had been going on since March. So some people on the cruise had already stayed as long as they wanted and have flown home to 23 of the passengers have already departed from the cruise ship to various countries, including the U.S. Now they're putting out that the first positive test for hantavirus on the cruise ship was recorded by WHO April 6. But these people returning home were only advised by WHO of this potential for disease 3 days ago. So that's going on. And we do have people who were on the cruise who have returned to the U.S. And we have this from Promethean Update. And as I've been putting out, Canada is going full communist, aligning with the CCP. And that we've seen President Trump and his brilliant plan taking down Venezuela, Iran, next Cuba, to take down China and the New World Order. Now we're seeing Canada clearly identify itself as a New World Order nation and naming as their lieutenant governor or their governor general, as it's called in Canada, Louise Arbour, who is widely known to be a New World Order advocate who had worked with the ICC, the International Court System, and wants to see the International Court System enacted in all nations as the top court. So I got this to say to Louise Arbour and Carney of Canada. Shut up. The U.S. has never signed on to the ICC, and we know President Trump has taken us out of WHO and out of many UN organizations and so on. And I believe it would be best for America to get out of all globalist organizations, including NATO. Now, this Governor General, the New World Order, Louise Arbour, is also in charge of the Canadian military. So the second in line, the president, and then the governor general is also in charge of the military. So that's going on. And we have this. So we have from Stephen Gardner. Yeah, there's been a raid. Multiple search warrants signed off by multiple judges to search the office and business, a cannabis business, of Virginia State Senator Louise Lucas. So way to go. So that concludes my flash update. I love you, and I'll see you soon.